My name is Chris Beer. I'm a newer EOS implementer. And from my perspective, what has become really interesting to me is that no matter how long an implementer has been in the game, it's still a practice of sorts when it comes to building their own EOS implementer practice. And it really goes down to three buckets. So there is the engagement piece of it. So the engagement piece is when you're trying to just attract, convert, and retain the right kind of clients for your practice. And the second is the experience. Once you have those clients, how do you wow them with not only what happens in the session, but what happens outside of the session room? And then the last piece is the EOS life. And when you're out there hustling and building, how do you as an implementer protect your version of the EOS life? So today I'm really excited to have Stas Balanevsky with me. He is going to tell us a little bit about building his practice. Specifically, we're going to lean into that client experience piece of it. So Stas, welcome.
Chris, thank you so much for having me. It's a bummer that all the other good EOS implementers were unavailable, so you got me. I'm super psyched to be here with you.
All right, well, you're ready for it? We're gonna come out with a spicy one.
Let's go.
Okay, talk to me about hits. You collect client hits, HITS. What is that? And what does that have to do with your client's experience?
Okay, so hits are heard in the session room. They are in this lovely book titled Brilliant Ideas I Had While Drinking Bourbon. It is a book given to me by my good friend, Holly Nowak. She was there when we started. Before I was an implementer, she was in my Vista's Trust Advisor group. It is a book with blank pages. She, of course, wrote Not a Diary in the book. And so what happens is when someone says something particularly witty, particularly interesting, particularly anything, I slide this book to them and I say, write that down.
Okay.
And then I get these beautiful hits, these heard in the session room, and then they become sort of part of the parlance, part of the conversation. I was with a team, great integrator, like farm boy strong kind of a guy, like 60-hour week, 90-hour week, doesn't matter. And what I said was, this session, we're going to avoid the hungry hippos version of you when we get to the end of setting rocks. And he looks at me and I'm like, you know the game Hungry Hippos? He's like, yeah. I said, you're grabbing every single marble at the end of rock setting. We do the whole thing really, really well. And from that moment on, this was during check-in. From that moment on, they kept talking about, don't be a hungry hippo. And what happened was he ended up with a really great set of rocks that were 100% aligned, really achievable. And he ripped me a text afterwards. He's like, thanks for talking me off the cliff and not letting me take the 4 other things that I thought I wanted to do.
I love that because he's probably not the first hungry hippo that showed up in your session room.
No, now it's a thing. Now we say it.
Now you normalize it. Because that's what happens when you're able to capture things like that, is that you're able to name it, normalize it, and work through it. And all of a sudden, that helps people get to where they want to be, but then also makes them feel like, I don't know, part of a community.
The community thing is really important to me. When I was first creating my practice, I saw that there was, and it's perfect saying this to you because you're going to be like, oh, yep, so true. Because there is a loneliness in the integrator space.
For sure.
Right? So, yeah, I'm getting these teams. Visionaries are easy. Visionaries go do visionary stuff. Integrators are like, what is this job? What is this role? How do we do this? So when I started my practice, I created a group of integrators where we would just get everybody together and just IDS. Once a month, 90 minutes, check in, populate an issues list, and IDS. The brilliance in the room. I believe in peer groups. I believe in all of that. So I created this little ad hoc peer group until my practice grew to the point that I couldn't continue to support it. And it's funny, coming full circle, I now have an energy group, which has sort of a similar vibe.
I love that. So yeah, opportunities outside of, let's say, the 7 hours plus or minus an hour session to feel like you belong and to also extract more out of not only the classic tool set, but other people's real life experience of it.
Well, you can pick up the phone and be like, have you ever broken this? And they're like, oh, yeah, I've broken this many times.
hold my beer.
Well, it's what we have. What we have as EOS implementers, right? We have the community. I'm really, really lucky to be in Buffalo because I'm in the land of Jim Wardlaw, right? Dude's been doing it for 13 years or something like that.
Sure.
So I can pick up the phone and call him and be like, I have a stupid question for you and not feel bad about it, right?
Well, and that's the thing I think that every person needs to hear is that there are no stupid questions, and there's always someone who has lived to go to the other side and is happy to tell you the mistakes they made and help you hopefully avoid pain. So that is not only implementer to implementer, but client to client.
Yeah. And that's the coolest thing. What I don't know the number now is like 38,000 companies running on EOS with an implementer. You sort of talk about running on EOS as the good housekeeping seal of approval and the community that exists in companies that run on EOS, right? So if you look at my delegate and elevate, my love great is connecting people. That's what I want to do. And it's always connecting EOS implementers to other companies. It's always connecting other EOS run companies to other EOS run companies. And immediately it's sort of like stepbrothers, right? Like you become best friends and you go, and it's super easy. And I think that's where a tremendous amount of value comes from being an implementer, because you see something in the room and you're like, either I've seen someone else have this problem, you should have this conversation, or I have a vendor that's going to fix this that you can consider. Like, let me give you 2 or 3 people that I know. It comes from somebody that's trusted. It comes with we run on EOS seal of approval, and it takes a lot of the friction out of it, which lets my clients run a hell of a lot faster.
Didn't expect to get a Step Brothers reference from you, but congratulations. You now got the Chris Beer seal of approval. And I'd like to pull a little bit on a connection piece here. So when it comes to connecting what people are experiencing in a session room to what has to happen outside of the session room, how do you keep your clients engaged while still respecting the boundaries of what you're doing as an implementer?
So no teacher, no facilitator outside of the session room, unless they call with a question or we get into a conversation where it's like, okay, let's bring some other stuff to the room. It's 100% coach, colleague, friend, sometimes, right? Sometimes it gets there.
Sure, all of it.
Yeah. Outside the session room, I have the best implementation director in the business. She manages the cadence. She knows how my clients like to be contacted. She gives me reminders. She does all of that stuff. So there's like that guaranteed, reliable, predictable layer that happens on a set cadence, proven process. Mm-hmm. And then there's the ad hoc, hey, buddy, I was thinking of you, right?
Yeah. Tell me about your hey, buddy, I was thinking about you, because, and I'll tell you where this is coming from. So this is coming from the framework of someone who is brand new implementer and thinking, great, I got someone to sign up for a focus day and a VB1 and a VB2. And gosh, I sure hope they come back. One, I hope they achieve all their wildest dreams in the next 90 days.
Right.
And then 2, I really, really hope they come back. And you're sort of sitting there, ooh, do I text them? Do I text them? And I just want to hear from your experience, and this is probably how it's evolved throughout the years. What's the right amount of touch throughout the quarterly cycle? And then also what shifted in your time in the session room and laying out expectations with the team where they know that you're not going to be hovering over them, but you're there if you need them?
I'll answer that backwards, right? In the session room, like, you pay me for my time in the session room. The rest of the time, I am free. If you need me, I'm there for you. Simple as that. Because what it gets to is the management questions in LMA. We have the right meeting pulse. And I always coach to this. We can have the exact same meeting pulse with 15 of our direct reports, and you're going to get 7 yeses and 8 nos. Because some people are like, you're smothering me. And other people are like, we don't spend enough time together. And you're like, oh my God, we have the same meeting cadence. Is it me? Is it you? What's the problem? The more you get to know your clients, the more it happens. I have these super high fact finder teams that are sending me these like 7-paragraph missives, asking me all sorts of questions about what happens when they graduate and they're like through VB2. And then other people don't want any feedback. They don't want, like, I have an attorney client that she is like, you are awesome. You provide value. I need you 40 hours a year, give or take 5 hours. Have a great rest of your year.
You pulled out a magic word for me, graduation. I know there's a lot of takes in the community about graduation, just in terms of when graduation should happen, kind of getting cues from your clients in terms of graduation. What's been your experience and kind of what's your take on it?
I think graduation is a wonderful and necessary thing. I think that there's a post-grad world out there. So what I always say to them is my job is to get you, 80% strong in the 6 key components. Usually takes about 18 to 24 months. We'll be together for that long. Some people graduate earlier. Some people graduate later. Some people are ready to graduate and don't. Some people graduate and continue to have me implement annuals or quarterlies or whatever. What I say to them is once a client, always a client. I'm available to you whenever. And when you get to 80% strong, graduate. You're good enough. You got this. And I have some people say, I don't think so. And we have that conversation. Some people say, cool, love it, still want you around. And you build these relationships with these great teams. Sometimes I'm like, okay, it's time for you to have a new implementer. Like, yes, you're good and you're strong, but it's time for you to have a different voice in the room, right? You tuned me out.
Tell me about that. Tell me about a real time when that has happened.
So I was implementing for a charity. I told them that I would give them 10 sessions. What I meant was I will give them as much as they need. And I think we did a dozen. Wonderful charity, doing great until they weren't doing great with all the cuts in the most recent budget. But they reacted really well. I got actually positive comments that they don't know if they would have survived had they not had EOS to be able to like structure and triage because everything was on fire. They were like, what do we save? And the director said, listen, I'm starting to feel bad because you're giving me all of this time. I'm like, okay. And right at that time, a brand new implementer came online in Buffalo. And Steve was like, I'll take him. Absolutely. Done. I'll give him a couple of years. I'll take him right now. And he's in the room and doing great, unlocking completely different stuff from what I would have unlocked because his worldview is different from mine and his experience set is different from mine. And it's benefiting the client in a completely different way.
That is a really cool way to look at it.
I mean, they were EOS fluent, they were running great meetings, they were doing all of this stuff. And he came in and was like, okay, this is a diamond, but let me put more polish on it. And he's doing a fabulous job. And of course, I've checked in with the executive director to be like, how we doing? And she's like, fabulous.
That's so good to hear. So still pulling on the in the session room experience, do you have any experience working with clients who have been self-implementing before coming to you?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about that. Tell me about some a little bit more memorable times or just how you approach that. And I say this with the angle of some people, when they have been self-implementing, come to an implementer with, I would say, some good humility or awareness of where the cracks are. And then some seem to have bought a different version of traction than the one we have.
Yes, 100%. I've seen both. Well, the key is the entry point, right? Like if you want to cook a good meal, the key to good cooking is mise en place, right? Everything is chopped, everything is ready, you're good to go. So when I'm introduced to them, I always say, awesome, send me your tools.
Great. So you're pulling from their software or wherever they're documenting their VTO and their accountability chart and all that. And you're just kind of seeing like, okay, let me take a little non-judgmental look at what their good looks.
I take a wildly judgmental look.
I heard it.
100%. And what I say to them is really there's sort of three modes of engagement. One is, wow, you read a different book. We need to start with a focus day. Wow, your tools they're interesting. They're pretty good. Like I see where you're going. I'd like to do a self-implementer session and we're going to stop and fix and optimize wherever. I'm not here to throw everything out. I'm here to layer stuff on top. Or mode 3, like, yeah, this is like, I'm just jumping in. When's your next quarterly? Let's run a quarterly.
Right.
And they all, they're all different, right? Every client's different.
That's really interesting. What would the distribution be, do you think, of people who have come to you self-implementing? Where do they fall in those?
It's pretty bell curvy. Like it's a pretty standard bell curve. So, the two middle standard deviations are going to be the self-implementer session, right? Like they're going to get tremendous value out of it. We're going to sharpen their tools. It's going to be amazing, right? The outlier, you look at their tools and you're like, these are fantastic. Let's go. That's half of that remaining, 32%. So 16% there. And then 16%, you're like, stop calling it IDS. It's IDS. Right? Like, please, that makes my skin crawl. It's IDS. It's not EOS. It's EOS. These are acronyms. So
I hate the IDS too. I think there's some sort of a cream that gets rid of it. I don't know. What do you find that teams that are self-implementing miss most commonly? What's the one chapter that's missing from their book?
Third-party accountability.
For sure.
I had a session. This wasn't a self-implementer, but this will illustrate my point. We were projecting the following quarter, and they came up with like 3.71% EBITDA, 3.71%. And I paused, and I kind of gave them the Labrador, and I was like, why is nobody mad? What do you mean? I'm like, I'm pissed. Why is nobody else pissed? Like, this number is BS. Right. So in an environment where it's just like, wow, I can't tell Bob, Bob's the CFO. He said 3.71%. And Mike's the sales manager. And he said he's going to be able to sell this. And the CEO seems okay with it. All the while, the CEO is like, okay, I got to get rid of these people. Having that impartial third-party code that looks at it and goes, guys, this is bananas. What are you doing? This makes no sense. I'm not telling you how to run your business. I'm telling you how to run a business. And this leaves you no flexibility.
I wonder, this is, getting deep on the therapist couch, but, part of coming to EOS and making a commitment to the tool set and doing it in its full is a bit of, letting go and letting it happen to you. And I wonder if not bringing in that third party eyes and ears is part of, well, I'm just not ready for it yet. I want to start peeking at it, but I'm just not quite ready for the sweeping changes that are going to happen.
Well, and they don't necessarily have to be sweeping changes, right? I mean, they can be little optimizations. And the cool thing about it is you can cross-pollinate from client to client. Like, you come to this with a completely unfair advantage as having been at like a banger of an integrator. You're like, listen, I understand the way this stuff works. I've seen it here, 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 and here. This is not theory. This works. I come at it of, listen, you're client 68. I've seen this problem come up again and again and again and again. This is how teams have gone after it. These are the outcomes that they have seen. This is why I believe they had those outcomes. I've now given you a nice, robust data set. Please decide. Are you going to live with it, end it, or change it? Is live with it a thing? Nope. Is end it a thing? Nope. Are you going to change it? Yep. Do you have enough data based on the experience of all these people to have a good idea on how you're going to change it? Yep. Great. Articulate the rock for me.
So pulling on the data set and seen this movie before, there are 913 implementers out there. And I'm sure in your time, you've seen some of the same stories over and over again in terms of practices being built and maybe having some funky looking additions and ways that people have built them in a way that is maybe structurally unsound. And maybe that person is even yourself.
Built businesses or EOS practices?
EOS practices where you've seen themes that implementers have fallen into, kind of traps that implementers have fallen into over and over and over again, despite having, again, we've got this rich data set. And specifically, I want to know what's one that not just people, that Stas has gone through once or twice too many times.
We speak from experience. I have stepped in it multiple times. My background is a marketer. So I'm like, this whole EOS thing and the marketing thing, it's going to be amazing. I can do all this cool marketing stuff. It's going to be great. And it's all BS.
Okay, tell me more about that.
So when you have clients, the way you get clients is by doing great work in the room, period. And answer your phone, right? Do great work in the room, answer your phone, because people are going to be like, geez, Bob, you spend a lot of time at the golf club. I like your new Bentley. It's like, yeah, I got this EOS thing. You should call Stas. Easy. Guy calls like, I want a Bentley like Bob's. Like, simple. When you don't have that, then you have to find people that are willing to be those people so you can get reps in the room. Meaning, friends, I have a dear friend. He was client one. I said, I'm doing this thing. I'm going off at $4,000 a session day. I will charge you $2,000 and I will never change your rate. He's still with me. And he's like, okay. And the funny thing is, the feedback that you get privately is he's like, man, you really sucked 5 years ago. Of course I did. He's like, you were not worth $2,000. He goes, now you are actually worth what you charge. And I appreciate the $6,000 a session discount. So just get reps, get as many reps as possible, go help charities, go help entrepreneurs, go to every networking thing, target market, non-target market, ask questions about their businesses, give them nuggets. Don't try to EOS them ever.
Well, obviously, at the end of the day, what's really important is getting people into the session room, delivering high value in the session room, and then being their resource outside of the session room so that they can recommend you authentically, just voraciously, because they want to help other people. In the absence of that, or before that happens, you need to get the damn reps in. And so you need to go out there and find a way to go do the reps. And more than likely, it's probably not a better use of your time would be, say, delivering reps to a charity pro bono than making some more AI slop about EOS.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Sing it, right? I'm sure before 2026, there was a version of AI slop that there was some other way, some other ineffective way that people were trying to market themselves, as opposed to just getting out there and attempting to do a good job and attempting to deliver value to humans. And when you do that, they want to sing your praises. But I think we get in this habit of, I love that you pulled like well, I'm a marketing guy and therefore I'm going to market the shit out of this and it's going to equal success. Well, not necessarily. The real success is delivering value.
I spent $7,000 this year on a CRM that didn't work.
But why do we do that?
Because we're builders and adders. That's our nature. I had the coolest chat with Gino at the last QCE. We're just standing around, just chatting. He's like, I mean, obviously I've known the guy for half a dozen years. He can pick me out of a lineup and not like one of the new guys. He knows who I am. And he's like, how are things? I'm like, awesome. He goes, a little more? I'm like, 165 session days. I'm going to hit a threshold that I wanted to hit. I do nothing but EOS and like drink bourbon and hang out with entrepreneurs. I make no money doing anything other than that. I focus on nothing other than EOS and my family and friends. And it's simple and it's easy relatively, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the work is hard. It's important, blah, 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 but it just feels amazing. I do one thing. People are like, what do you do? I'm like, I implement this proven system for money. Everything else I do for free. I had a mentee of mine call me today. He's like, hey man, I was driving. I just wanted to kind of give you a download on what's up. This kid's 25 years old. He was going to buy a business. I was sitting around with my buddy smoking cigars and put them up on the screen. And I'm like, one of my friends is like, if you buy this business, I will find you and I will punch you in the head. You need to build that business, not buy it. And he's like, okay, cool. Did that, didn't buy it, built the business better than what he would have bought. He's crushing it and he's running on EOS. And it's amazing. He's like picking up the phone to say, hey man, this is really great. I think I made 40 grand last month.
Right. So what I'm hearing from you in terms of kind of, I laid out those 3 buckets in the beginning. And when we're thinking about experience, it truly is simplicity. It's just going down to delivering high value, delivering pure EOS, meaning without cobbled on elements of it, and running a practice that is about as simple as it gets, which is connecting with humans, connecting with humans and doing good stuff.
Are you a vegetarian?
Fuck no.
Okay.
Okay.
Cow, salt, fire. That's it.
Yeah.
Get a steak, kosher salt, put it on the heat, flip it, let it rest. Done.
Simple.
Sure. Beautiful sauce and a beautiful accompaniment, blah, blah, blah. Love that. Great. Super fun. End of the day, cow, salt, fire. Done.
Yeah. Keep it simple. All right. How long have you been at this game? How long have you been building a practice?
December 2020. So 5.5 years.
That's awesome. What would you say now to Stas of maybe 6 months out of boot camp that you would say, don't do that, man?
Here's the thing. I wouldn't change a thing because the mistakes that I made were big mistakes with small numbers and I learned from them. So I paid community college tuition and now I can afford Ivy League tuition. And I'm really glad I learned that at community college rates versus learning it now. Right? I made a $7,000 error this year. That sucks.
Right.
Moving on. It's less than a session day, which is one, pick the fraction. You got to make the mistakes. You can't describe skinning your knee. You have to do it. So I did it.
I love that. I love that for not only implementers who are a little bit newer, but also those who are saying, hey, I'm 5 years in, I'm 10 years in, and I'm committed to growing or dying here. And I know that I need to evolve, but this has been working. What I've been doing has been working. Yep. It could be wrong. What a gift.
It is an amazing gift. And that's the thing, like with every loss, like I have this podcast where I talk about all of these sort of entrepreneurial lessons and it's tuition. Like you're paying and then you're getting ROI. Like a buddy of mine lost 6 figures on a comp plan because he didn't have it written right. And he's made millions since then because every single comp plan that he's written since then has been airtight. And he just has this set of rules and it's a set of rules. And maybe he would have built one rule and then another rule and then another rule. But because he got hit between the eyes so hard, he's like, nope, this is my template. And if you don't want to be in my template, I'm not going to work for you.
So one last question for you. Building a practice can be awfully lonely. And when you make those mistakes, you can, of course, choose to go 2 ways. You can look yourself in the mirror and go, stupid, stupid, stupid. You can reflect on it by yourself. But there's always power in getting together in a community with other people who have been there, done that. And if they haven't, they're at least there to be supportive of you. What's that community looked like specifically for you? Are you part of a T group? Is it a Metro Exchange? What is, who is your group of people to call when you go and fuck something up?
My people are my T group and my MCE. My T group, a subset of us got together in boot camp and we are together to this day.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yep. And one of the sections that Michael Deutsch suggested when we had all the time in the world and we could have level 10s with the T group, right? We could have
Yeah.
done them pretty much daily. One of the sections was head trash, where we would deliver our head trash and then everybody else would point and laugh and then move on. Like, it was absolutely amazing.
Michael, I hope you're listening to this because he did this with me the other day. He said, name your head trash and let's all laugh at it. And
See?
I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, that is actually brilliant.
It is absolutely brilliant. And it has been a huge unlock because this is a group that can say whatever to me, and they have,
Yeah.
and it's amazing. And these are my people. And then the MCE is amazing, right? Like, the reason I'm an implementer is because of Jim Wardlaw. He brought me in. I was in his Vistage group as a fractional chief marketing officer.
Okay.
So he brought me in, and then I got a chance to meet Jamie Cornelison, who was in Rochester at the time. And then I joined, then Michael Albrecht joined, and Matt Smith, and Marie, and Steve, and now Travis, and it's growing. And we have like this great MCE, and we exchange information. We hang out here in my session room, and I think I'm having a cigar and a bourbon with one of them tonight. Like, it's just, these are my people.
Well, I love it because it goes back to what we started on, which was the experience. Because we come to this, our clients come to us wanting an experience, which is, yes, it is, the tools are part of that, but also the sense of community, the sense of belonging, the sense of being seen, the hits, and the fact that other people have gone through things and survived, and there's a sense of community. What I'm hearing is that experience, you've experienced it, both as someone who's delivering that to your clients on a consistent basis, getting better over the years, right? Learning. But also it's something that you've experienced from ground up with from your boot camp to that implementer group that you've chosen to experience this practice building with.
Well, this is really lonely work. And the moment you get past your self-talk of like, if I ask this question, I will be perceived as stupid. No, you'll be perceived as stupid if you don't ask the question. So if you're worried about perception, one, don't, please. And two, like, pick up the phone and call people. I've had implementers that, they've seen me on a Monday call, or we've had a conversation. They'll rip me a text. They're like, hey man, do you have 10 minutes? I really want to unpack this. I'm like, of course. If I'm not in a session, I want to be helping. It's what we do. It's what all of us do.
I love it. So I'll leave it and end it with this to anyone who's listening and perhaps is feeling a little bit lonely and feeling perhaps like, oh, I'm not going to go to the Monday calls because I feel I'm getting a little judged, or I'm leaning out from something because I feel like someone's doing better than me. Call Stas. He's going to laugh at your head trash, or call anyone, because they're going to encourage you and, again, make you part of the communal experience of building a practice. Stas, I want to thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thank you. This has been a blast. Great to spend an afternoon with you. And if I was there, I'd pour out a bourbon as well. But for now, cheers.